This is the Marvel Legends retro carded Uncanny X-Men Dark Phoenix and Marvel's Spiral. For this review, we will be doing a 2-for-1 review of these two villains in the X-Men comic books, X-Men mythology. If you notice, I've been completely sucked back in to Marvel Legends and the X-Men in particular. After reviewing the VHS Cyclops, VHS Wolverine, and Retro Wolverine, man, Hasbro manages to pull me back into something I thought I was done and over with. I couldn't resist these two figures. Now, these two figures are the most difficult figures to acquire in this wave, where you have the Jim Lee blue and yellow retro Wolverine, you've got Longshot, you've got Avalanche, and you've got Jamie Madrox, the Multiple Man. These are the two figures to go if they're on retail. Now, if you bought the entire case, then that's good. That's great. You automatically get these two figures together with the 4 other figures. I bought these two figures at my local Toy Kingdom store for about $29, just under 30 bucks. And they are selling at the secondary market here in Manila on Facebook, on eBay and all that for about $50 to $60 each. And you know what, I can't blame these scalpers for doing so, because these are highly sought after. And shame on Hasbro for, again, putting the popular characters as one per case. You know what, I don't know. Maybe if they'd made every single character in this wave as awesome as these two, then people would probably start buying the cases instead of just waiting for these guys to show up on retail. But nevertheless, they're incredibly difficult to find. It's a shame because they're really, really awesome figures from the looks of things. Let's get these ladies out of packaging. Wow, unbelievable. These figures are just absolutely fantastic. I knew they were going to be great, but I did not expect them to be this good. Okay, my expectations for Spiral were really very high. Once I opened the figure, I mean, the figure just delivered this much. The Phoenix, Dark Phoenix, on the other hand, I was just expecting it to be, you know, mediocre. I mean, I was expecting it to be great, but it just surpassed my expectation greatly. That I'm actually very much more impressed with the Dark Phoenix figure than Spiral. I mean, Spiral is an amazing, amazing figure, but this Dark Phoenix caught me off guard. I did not think it was going to be this great. Both figures have amazing detail, fantastic articulation, great quality on them. The paint apps, I mean, this is as good as Hasbro can get with the paint apps. There's some very, very minute imperfections and all that, but overall I'm very happy. And you know, most of the time Marvel Legends figures, they suffer from paint apps, quality of the plastic. These two figures, I guess I got really lucky. These two figures don't seem to suffer from any quality issues. One of those few times I get lucky with Hasbro. Let's take a closer look at the details of both of these figures. Both figures stands at about 6¼ inches tall, or about 16 centimeters tall each. And for comparisons, here they are with the VHS Cyclops and their New Year Vows Mary Jane as Spinneret. Each figure comes with an extra pair of hands. Spiral comes with a splayed out hand as well as an armored fist. Whereas Jean, or the Dark Phoenix, comes with 2 fists, as well as a Phoenix flame effect, which I believe she can hold. She can kind of hold like this. I don't know what the point of this effect really is. Wait, let me see if I can just, yeah, she could just, it's like she's showing off a magic trick or something, that she's the Phoenix and she could do the flame. I know what this is, but in the comic books, sure, but to be honest, I honestly would have just wanted an extra head sculpt. Instead of this effect, maybe a non-evil Jean, like a normal Jean with just the hair relaxed. That would have been, actually, I would have really appreciated that more than a flame effect or the extra hands, because nobody, you know, I doubt people would actually use the clenched fists for for Phoenix because she's always flying. She's always like in flames, like, the Phoenix, X-Men, Scott, kill me. I mean, she's always going to have her hands splayed out most of the time. So we could completely do away with these extra pieces and just maybe combine the plastic and come up with a really cool looking Jean Grey head sculpt. Anyway, that's an easy fix. I'm sure you can swap other Jean Grey head sculpts for this. Now the figure does use relatively the same body or buck as Spinneret, and my biggest concern with this mold was really the ratio of the gap between the glutes and the hips. The glute hip, the bottom or glutes to hip ratio. This is, you can clearly see right here, it's just like Mystique. There is still that gap between the hip onto the glutes or the bottom of the figure. But with this figure, they've kind of fixed it. I don't know how. Maybe they moved the ball joint a bit or resculpted the hips somehow. But the clearance is much more, you can easily tolerate it more. I mean, it's not as stark and apparent as the Spinneret or Mystique. So I'm glad they kind of changed that. I'm glad they've kind of improved on that. The Mystique mold actually does it much better than the Dark Phoenix. If you look here, they've actually resculpted her hips to give it a little bit more curves. And since I believe this is a new, it's very similar, but I think this is a new lower torso. I could be mistaken. I believe it's new. That's why the clearance of the bottom or the glutes to the hips ratio is very, very minimal. I love that. I love that they've improved that. And this should be the way to do the female lower torso moving forward. I think this is the best way. They've really narrowed that clearance and it looks a lot more seamless. I was actually half expecting what they did with Aurora Monroe Storm, the 80s Storm from the 2-pack. Yes, I did actually repurchase this 2-pack because it was on clearance for like 28 bucks at Toys R Us here in Manila. So I did repurchase it. And this one actually, I think it has the best glutes to hip ratio. Look at that. It's almost seamless. I mean, it's really well sculpted, her hips. And this is I think the gold standard for the glutes to hip ratio. I really like this one. And I was kind of hoping they would do the same with Jean, but I'm glad they've sort of done it with Spiral. Okay. Now the paint apps for this figure, like I mentioned earlier, it's pretty good. But you need to look out for the yellow paint bleeding onto the red. That's it. And maybe the lipstick on that head sculpt, it needs to be painted on a little bit centered, because the others I've seen at some hobby shops, the lips are kind of skewed to the left or skewed to the right. Eyes are painted great. There's a wash on the hair. That's fine. This is forgivable. The yellow onto the red bleeding in, I'm totally willing to look past that as long as they give us really spot-on painted lipstick and the Phoenix logo on her chest. I mean, those are the things you need to look out for in terms of paint apps. As far as articulation goes, the neck is on a ball joint that is on a hinge. It's just a shame that the backward motion of the hinge is a little bit hindered because of that huge molded in hair, so it's okay. The upper torso is on a ball joint. The shoulders, no butterfly joints, but they go in and out, forward and backward 360. You got a bicep swivel. And this is amazing. This is what I like about this mold the best. It has double jointed pinless elbows, much like what they're doing with the Classified series now. And then for the hips, you do the splits, you do forward and backward. She's got a thigh swivel, a little loose on mine. Double jointed knees, again, pinless. The ankles can move up and down and have the rocker tilt. The sash is a separate piece molded in this really nice high gloss, very premium quality plastic. Spiral is just an amazing figure. This is absolutely a milestone for Hasbro. You've got 3 joints on the torso to form 3 arms. So she's got 3 pairs of arms 6 arms on a figure. This is, I've never had the old, was it Red Hulk Build-A-Figure wave for Spiral? I don't think I ever had that one, so I can't really compare this one, but they've done a wonderful, wonderful job with this body mold. And I was afraid that the 3 arms on a single shoulder would look awkward, but they somehow found a way to sculpt that upper torso so that it still looks very feminine, and at the same time, it doesn't look awkward to fit 3 shoulders. So yeah, it's pretty cool. I mean, had they put butterfly joints there, that would have made this figure a super excellent figure. I would have bowed down to Hasbro, really, for their engineering genius had they made butterfly joints for that. But, you know, we don't need butterfly joints for 6 arms. Okay. The neck is on a ball joint. That is also on a lower ball joint. So this is the newer ball joint. It's just a shame that the hair is kind of in the way of articulation. There's an upper ball joint on the upper torso. Each of the arms can hinge out and go forward and backward 360. You know, they get in the way of each other, but it's possible to move them 360. They've got pinless double jointed elbows. Again, amazing. The wrists, they go up and down and they swivel for all wrists, including the cybernetic arm. The hips can do the splits forward and backward, thigh swivel, double jointed knees that again are pinless, no calf swivel. The feet can go up and down and have the ankle tilt. As far as paint apps go, very, very nice on this Spiral figure. Hardly any complaints. I mean, I'm glad the helmet is made of this plastic. I think the same thing they used for the Silver Samurai. It's really a nice glossy finish, really nice silver colored plastic. They didn't have to paint that. Eyes are painted nicely, lipstick painted spot on, yellow on her uniform looks nice, silver on her pouches, on her belt, very nice. And then some silver armbands. The cybernetic arm is unpainted because it's made of the same plastic as the headdress. So great, they didn't have to paint that one. So yeah, everything's okay. The shoulder pads are removable. They're just they're pegged in. And she comes with a slew of weapons. And probably my biggest disappointment, it's not really a disappointment, it's my biggest nitpick, I should say, comes with the weapons. The weapons are cool. I mean, I'll give you that. I love that we get like 6 different blades for her. We've got 4 of the Deadpool recycled weapons. I mean, this has been recycled with Wolverine and Deadpool. That's great. 4 katanas. And we have these weapons that I believe have been recycled from Angela. I don't have my Angela figure anymore, so I can't really speculate. Sorry, I forgot to Google, but let me know in the comments if these are Angela's weapons or possibly Gamora's weapons, but I know they've been recycled, which is a shame. I don't think we needed this weapon, because if you look at the comic books, she has 2 swords, 1 main barbarian sword, 2 daggers, like huge, not the small low-key stabbing daggers, but the huge knives, like bolo knives, or just huge daggers. And sometimes you see her holding on one hand a sai, the one that Elektra uses, exactly like that. I mean, they could have repurposed some daggers from other figures, or maybe just resculpted a couple daggers. I mean, that wouldn't be too much of a stretch for the budget. And they could have put one of the size of Elektra. I mean, that would have been really, really nice. That would have completed her look. But again, it's a very, very minor, small nitpick. I love the fact that they've really molded each of the hands to have only 4 fingers. 1 middle finger, pinky, index, and the thumb. Thought that was a very, very nice detail. I'm glad they didn't recycle any of the other fists that we've gotten from female molds. I'm glad they're brand new fists, brand new hands. I mean, Hasbro really went all out on this figure, and it really is a shame that she gets packed 1 per case. At this point, I would probably be more appreciative of Hasbro had they made each of these figures exclusives, like Pulse exclusives or Target exclusives or something like that. I hate exclusives, but if they've become exclusives, they'll be packed like in a solid case. There'd be like 8 per case or 6 per case, instead of having them 1 in a case of 6. And sure, the entire wave looks pretty good. You get a bunch of really nice characters like Multiple Man, like Avalanche, Wolverine, and all that, but, or Longshot, but would have been really nice if it were more accessible for collectors, because these are possibly 2 of the best figures for the year. I don't know, I think it was released late 2022, but if you're getting it 2023, these are a couple of the figures that you want to get for this year. I mean, just stellar work on these figures. I am just really blown away by what Hasbro's done. And with that being said, these 2 figures have just officially sucked me back into the Marvel Legends line, which I'm kind of bittersweet about, because I promised myself I wouldn't focus on Marvel Legends anymore. I'd be very, very picky. I don't want to go back to the X-Men, and yet somehow just a couple of figures, including this figure, have somehow managed to suck me back into this black hole. I don't think I can ever come back from this anymore. I think I've just completely succumbed to Hasbro's Marvel Legends. And so some final thoughts on these Marvel Legends, X-Men, Spiral, and Dark Phoenix. I absolutely love these figures, except for a few of my minor, very, very small nitpicks on both figures. I honestly think these are perfect figures. Both figures deserve a 10 out of 10. I am actually inclined to give Spiral an 11 out of 10. If not for those weapons. I mean, had they given us the weapons that were in the comic books, man, that would have been an easy 11 for me. But both figures deserve a 10 out of 10. It's only a shame that Hasbro made it very difficult for collectors to get these figures. I absolutely enjoyed them. Let me know in the comment section what you guys think of these Marvel Legends retro carded X-Men Dark Phoenix and Marvel's Spiral. Hit that notification bell so you never miss out on any of my latest video reviews. And if it's your first time here, please subscribe. Thanks for watching.